Aloha, my friends and familia, and happy Moon Day or Monday. Mondays are actually named after the planet, the moon. And so moon days tend to be more emotional, more intuitive, more feeling based. And today, the next 5 days, we are heading into an incredibly power aspect between the fixed star Sirius and the sun, which in astrology, the sun, of course, represents full illumination, solar light. It represents our soul. It represents our soul purpose, why we are here. And Sirius is a very ancient star that our ancestors have worshipped. Some ancient tribes even claim to have originated from the star Sirius. In ancient Egypt, they associate Sirius with their creation goddess Isis and their creator god Osiris. And Sirius lines up with the constellation Orion to the pyramids. And so every year, when Sirius, that huge star in the lower left corner next to Orion's belt, rises in ancient Egypt, that would mark the time when the floods would come and when all the harvests and fertility and the renewal of life would come back to the people. And so this is a powerful time. This is a powerful energy. It happens at the same time. They call this the Sirius gateway, the Sirius portal. And it is when the sun comes to align with Sirius on Friday at the new moon time. It's a very powerful time. And so if you are experiencing intensity, what you may be going through is simply the activation of having a star that is actually, by definition, the word Sirius actually means glowing or scorching and is twice as large in magnitude as the sun. You may be feeling a lot of extra light on the planet. And extra light, extra heat, extra illumination can cause a lot of shadows to be brought to the surface. So join me as we dive into the power of this Sirius sun alignment, which is happening on Friday. Let's dive into that energy. Let's see how I can assist you to tune into it better. And so we're just going to start here. Sirius approaches alignment to the sun, and this is happening at the new moon time. And so what is Sirius and how might this affect us? So let's take a little trip over to Wikipedia, and I'll just give you the definition that Wikipedia has for Sirius. It would be good scientific, verifiable information. All right, so here we go. Sirius is actually derived from the Greek word Sirios, meaning lit. This star is designated as Canis Majoris or Alpha Canis Majoris, and it has a visual apparent magnitude of -1.46. It is twice as bright as Canopus, the next brightest star. So Sirius is actually literally the brightest star in the night sky with, let's see here. It says that the Sirius is twice as massive as the sun and has an absolute visual magnitude 25 times as luminous as the sun. Okay. So what we're dealing with here is an absolutely super giant, massive star that is twice as large as the sun and who has a 25 times as luminous as the sun. So has anyone ever heard the dog days of summer phrase? Okay, so we are entering those dog's days of summer, and it happens as the sun, our sun, lines up with Sirius, which is literally twice as big as the sun and 25 times more luminous. And so the addition of that alignment with the sun creates this amplitude of heat It's known as the dog star because of its prominence in the constellation Canis Major in, let's see, also called the dog days of summer. In Egypt, of course, the rising of Sirius marked the flooding in ancient Egypt and also related to their mythology of Isis and Osiris. And so comment below if you've ever heard the story of Isis and Osiris. It's a pretty intense story from ancient Egypt. Isis and Osiris were the two creator gods. Okay. And so the ancient Egyptians noticed that the appearance of Sirius would herald the hottest, driest parts of summer. And for the ancient Egyptians, it would mean that the rains would begin to come. And so let's dive into a little bit of the story of Isis and Osiris. Okay, and so here is an image of Sirius itself, twice as large as the sun, located in Canis Major, which is called the dog star. If you want to find it, I really recommend going outside tonight and checking it out, because all you have to do is find Orion up in the night sky, and then you will see to the far lower left that beautiful shining bright Sirius, which has actually got two stars in it, one really large star and one smaller, creating that huge amplitude and magnitude of light. And so we are approaching a conjunction of Sirius and the sun on Friday at the new moon, which is the most powerful time to set intentions. And so we are approaching one of the highest points of actual luminosity, similar to the power of the solstice, but to some degree, perhaps it's even stronger because the sun is near its highest peak in the northern hemisphere, right? We just passed the solstice when it arrives here with Sirius, the brightest star in the night sky. And so what might that mean? What does it mean to have two of the two brightest lights in our sky, in our night sky, especially in our daytime sky, coming together? It means an increase in the light. It means an increase in the illumination. And sun means soul. And so this means an incredibly powerful burst of soul illumination. Now, they say the greater the light, the greater the shadow. And so when there is great light coming to our earth, you may notice that things that maybe were buried or secret or hidden come to the surface. And a good analogy I like to give is, imagine that as we go through our lives, imagine we're like a teacup, and in the bottom of the teacup are tea leaves. And those tea leaves represent our undigested, unprocessed emotions, feelings, memories, histories, DNA, genetics, you name it. And most of the time it's down there at the bottom of the cup, or rather in the depths of our bodies. And we don't notice it. We go about our daily lives, we get our work done, we accomplish what we need to. And then all of a sudden we have these cosmic events. And that's one reason I follow astrology and share it with others. I've noticed a direct correlation between these planetary activations and then also those things that are buried being brought up to the surface. Very, very causal relationship here. And so what happens when these big planetary events come that are just here to illuminate us, they're here to bring light to us, they're here to assist us in ascending and going higher, is it's a bit like pouring water into that teacup. And then all those leaves, all those unprocessed emotions and feelings and thoughts that are buried, they rise on up to the surface. And then we see them, we feel them, we sense them. And so we're like, why, Lotus, why aren't these beautiful, magical, spiritual events easy and peaceful and serene? Well, they can be, to the extent that we have resolved our internal triggers from our DNA, from our past lives, from wherever they may come. Okay. And so as you begin to clear, you go on this journey of healing, you'll notice that things may get easier over time. Yes, you may still have things rise up with brighter light, more awareness. However, you may find that it's more gentle, that it's more easeful, that you get through it more easily. And so that's my prayer for all of you with this Sun conjunct Sirius aspect, is that it be an opportunity for you to connect to the greatest light, for that greatest light to guide you, to assist you, to illuminate those areas and aspects in your life that you would like to be illuminated. Okay. Now, the story of Isis and Osiris is very interesting. So Isis and Osiris were considered to be the creator gods in ancient Egypt. And these two stars, Sirius represents Isis and Orion represents Osiris. And so here's Osiris and here's Isis up in the sky together. And so they both line up to the pyramids, and they line up to the pyramids in a really magical way. I'm just going to go in. So here I made a picture of Sirius here, which is related to Isis, and then Orion's belt up here, which is related to Osiris, the king and the queen and the king. And then we go to the sky over Giza, we go to one of the main pyramids, and we find inside the pyramid, they have two chambers. One chamber is the king's chamber, and one is the queen's chamber. And they find that when Sirius rises to the point where it is now, they line up to Orion, lines up to the king's chamber, and Sirius, which is supposed to represent Isis, lines up with the queen's chamber. And so these constellations of Sirius and Orion have correlated to these positions in the ancient pyramids, the king's chamber and the queen's chamber, since, or perhaps even before, 2500 BC. And so whoever built the pyramids built them to have these amazing fixed stars activating and energizing them. And so you have to wonder, what is the power of these stars? And they're very bright. If you go out in the night sky, Orion and Sirius are two of the constellations that are very easy to spot, along with the Big Dipper, right? So they're very easy to spot and very interesting to know that they have this correlation to the alignment of the pyramids. Okay, right? So here they are, that bright, bright light. Now, right. So what is the story of Isis and Osiris? And so this is a pretty bizarre tale. According to mythology, Isis and Osiris were very happy, married king, queen of Egypt, the divine feminine, the divine masculine, king and queen in union. And their brother Set grew jealous of Osiris's power and decided to kill him. And he cut Osiris up into lots of little pieces and scattered his body across the planet. Well, of course, Isis was completely horrified and devastated beyond belief. And she, in her grief, decided to go and put Osiris's body back together. And so she traveled the entire land and she put all the pieces of Osiris back together. And using some form of ancient Egyptian magic, or maybe the fact that they were, quote, gods and goddesses, she brought him back to life, and they gave birth to a child, and then he had to return to the underworld. Okay, and so in that story, part of the mythology is that Osiris is brought back to life, so that he dies and then he is brought back to life. And it is the rising of Osiris back to life, along with the rising of Sirius every year in Egypt. They associate that with the rising of Sirius over Egypt and the floods. And so they associate the rise back into life from death, the rebirth of Osiris, with the rising of Sirius and with the floods that nourish their crops. And it's very interesting because some aspects of that story resonate so deeply with the mythology of Christ and Jesus's own ascension from death to life, from death to rebirth. And so this rising of Sirius conjuncting the sun really relates to the spiritual alchemy of rebirth. And so it's interesting to note that this happens every single year around this time, maybe something to put onto your calendar, that people call the Sirius Gateway because it's Sirius, right? And why is it Sirius? It marks the alchemical journey from death to rebirth. And so it marks the rebirth of life, right? Being brought, becoming immortalized, right? Becoming reborn in the spirit. And so it's an initiation of light. And so you may find that many things come up during this time to be purified, because with great light comes great purification. And so you may notice things coming up to be cleared, things coming up to be surface. And it's a really good idea to spend a lot of time and get your meditation in every day. Really pay attention to your inner voice, because that light, as you saw here, with the sun and Sirius coming together on Friday, they're very close right now, will be creating an illumination. It will be creating an activation. So what's coming up for you? What are you noticing? How can you activate and renew the energetics of your own body and being? How can you step into this portal? How can you claim your power, Isis and Osiris, to sit on your throne of divinity? And so I'm just going to share screen here and show you the stars and show you Stellarium and show you where everything is right now. Okay. So here we are in Stellarium, and I just wanted to show you how we have Sirius is right here. Canis Major, right? It's the dog star. Sirius. Get nice and close to it. Wow, it is really bright. Look at that. So here we have Sirius associated with the goddess Isis, associated with the idea of rebirth, right? Of rising from whatever challenge or issue we're in and being reborn. And then we have the sun right here. And as you can see, they're very close together right now. And the sun is actually very close to Venus as well. So we have this very powerful bit of a triangle happening between Sirius, the dog star, the brightest star in the sky, with the sun, the other brightest star in the sky, and Venus, the goddess of love, the billionaire star. And so there's just tremendous activity around illumination happening. Tremendous. Okay. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that starting tomorrow, we're also going to have 3 planets retrograde. And that's something I'm going to go into in more detail. So not only do we have this incredible portal opening up between Sirius activating, wow, and Sirius is very close to Rigel, which is the billionaire star, the sun and Venus. We have this incredible opportunity for opportunities with money, with abundance, with wealth that could come through communication, could come through networking, could come through anything involving the channels of communication, because Sun is in Gemini, Venus is in Gemini, and Gemini is all about communication. Gemini is all about, I'll show you what Gemini is all about. So Gemini is all about communication, right? Communication like social media, communication, writing letters, writing, speaking, traveling like short trips, reading books, writing books, and just going out on little mini adventures. Gemini is all about the spread and processing of information. So where we speak, where we think, where we communicate, where we share. And that planet has actually changed signs today, which I just made a post about. And the energy of that is very, very different. And so we also have Mercury in Cancer now. And so we have Sun in Gemini, which is all about thinking and writing and speaking, which is the mind, but it is now traveled into Cancer. And Cancer is a water sign. And so there's an interesting dichotomy right now between our thinking self, the Sun, and our thinking self, Mercury, being in the sign of Cancer. This is not the easiest placement for Mercury because Mercury is all about the mind. It's all about thought and rationality and logic and A plus B equals C. And so we'll deliver that package to you, and that goes, it's like the post office. It's very rational, it's very logical. This needs to go there, and this needs to go here, and you need to talk to this person. That's Mercury. But it is in Cancer. And so Cancer is very, very different. Cancer is all about the home, it's all about the family, it's all about our ancestry, it's very private, it's very quiet. And so there's a bit of a dichotomy and shift as we go into this energy. Now, I don't want to overwhelm you, so I'm not going to go too deep into what Mercury in Cancer is all about, because we already went very deep into this upcoming Sirius Sun activation. So I will leave Mercury into Cancer for tomorrow, but just know that the planet of the mind, which allows us to process these higher frequencies that are going to be coming through Sirius to us, has shifted into water. And so really good thing to help you ground yourself, help you focus, help you get grounded right now is water. To help your mind be clear, drink lots of water, go near the water, contemplate water, meditate on water, meditate on being like water. And so when the planet of the mind goes into a sign that is feminine in nature, that is flow-based, those are two kind of opposing energies. One is mental, rational, one is emotional. And so we are learning how to balance our thoughts and our emotions, our hearts and our minds, our sentimentality, our empathy, our connection to our family, our friends, and our thought, what we're here to speak and write. So you might finding yourself becoming more sentimental. You might find yourself wanting to talk to your mom or your family because Cancer is associated with the mom and the family. You might find yourself feeling a little more private, a little more quiet when it comes to speaking, because you might want to feel more comfortable before you communicate something to others. So all of that is happening with the addition that we have 3 planets now retrograde. And that is going to happen tomorrow. So we currently have Saturn, the planet of structure and discipline, Pluto, the planet of depth and intensity, and tomorrow, Neptune, the god of the spiritual realm, the higher self, our sort of more fantasy, fantastic, imaginative, spiritual energy. And so we're going to have 3 planets retrograde tomorrow. So tomorrow I'm going to get on here and I'm going to talk to you all about this Mercury in Cancer, this shift for the mind. I'm going to share with you what does it mean to have all these planets retrograde. And I will be here to answer your questions as you need. Feel free to leave them below. And it's this upcoming new moon on Friday. So if you would like me to host a new moon energizing activation on Friday, which is the time of the new moon, leave a comment below and I will put something together for everyone. This is a powerful time. If you're feeling a lot coming up, that is simply the light shining upon those places and spaces that have needed the light for maybe thousands of lifetimes and years in you and in your lineage. Allow yourself to feel what is being brought up. Know that this is all happening for you, that your ancestors, that your lineage, that who you are has been calling in this healing, maybe for lifetimes. Can you allow the process? Can you allow the roots of your DNA to receive these light codes? Can you allow what arises within you to be what it is without judgment? Can you seek the support and love of your friends and family? Can you open your heart to the healing that is possible at this time? Not saying that it's necessarily easy. Full cellular illumination is full on. And I simply want you to tap into what's possible for you in your infinite light codes of perfection and allow yourself to be illuminated by that light. That is your true soul essence. And take this vibration of trust, knowing that everything and anything that happens in your world, you are ready for and you can handle, and that you are perfectly blossoming, that you are not going backwards. You are simply evolving. You are simply expanding. You are simply growing. You are growing into love. You notice that there's this big heart between Mother Earth and this divine being and the divine soul. And so a really great practice to do during this time is to learn, especially this is really helpful for women, this breathing technique. I think it's actually different for men, but starting to learn to focus more on your breathing, because with a lot of energy, we can get unfocused from our breathing. And imagine yourself breathing in this rainbow light energy. And so for women, what we can imagine is that as we breathe in, the energy actually travels up the back of the spine. And as we exhale, the energy goes down the front of the body. That's good. And so as we inhale, we draw the breath up the back of the spine. And as we exhale, we allow that breath to travel down the front of the body. And so you're creating this loop, inhaling up the back body, exhaling down the front. Of course, you want to breathe in through the nose and exhale through the nose. And so you're breathing in up the back body and exhaling from the front body. And you're just letting yourself get into alignment with the natural flow of creation, with your own light body, which is being activated. And so what are some ways to handle not only the increased light and heat from Sirius and the sun coming together, but the fact that there have been so many increased solar flares, and as well, and huge increases in the Schumann resonance of the earth. And so what I've been guided to do is, one, you want to drink lots of water and do a lot of purification, lots of lemon, lots of water. You also want to up your intake of raw foods like salads, like green leafy vegetables, cucumber, celery, things that have water content, melons, fruit, and really just up your intake of raw fruits, raw vegetables, raw juices. You want to choose organic because they're going to be cleaner and freer of pesticides. But as the light rays on this planet increase, we must become clearer, cleaner vessels. And that is what this time, and that is what all of these energies are asking from us. We want to work on our daily habits, right? Saturn retrograde. We want to work on, what are we eating? What is our daily routine? How are we caring for our bodies? For instance, going to bed earlier when there's increased light ray activity is very beneficial, because your cells, your tissues, your organs all need much more time to rest and recuperate from these higher frequencies that are coming through for the collective right now, right? So for women, as you breathe in, up the back body, and as you exhale, down the front, right, right. Feeling that flow. So when we can get into flow with nature, right? This happens every year. This is cyclic. The sun and Sirius come together every year. And so how can we get into alignment with this synchronization? And it may ask us to take a little more sacred space, take a little more sacred time. It may ask us to slow down a bit, to take a little more internal time, to go out into nature more. These are sacred days, the next 5 days. Can you give yourself time and space to allow the process? Can you take some time out from the mind and the busy work to allow the light rays to come through, for your awareness to grow, for what is there for you to see, feel, and perceive to come through? And as you allow that, and as you open to that, what will be possible and what radiant light, rainbow light will come through for you. So I send you all tremendous love. I highly invite you to go outside and look at Sirius tonight. She's located to the lower left corner of Orion's belt. Tune into her frequency, tune into her energy, listen to her song. Notice what she's here to teach you. Notice what arises. Listen to your heart. Breathe, feel, get aligned back to nature, and notice what gifts of abundance, wealth, and divine spiritual knowledge are here for you now. Sending you all immense love and light. May you be guided on every step in alignment to your highest self. And may the pure love of all that is wash and shower and bless you now into eternity. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Biggest love. Mahalo.